Shalom YouTube family, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the family.
In today's video, we'll be discussing some misconceptions that Americans have about Africans.
Let's get right into it.
So the first misconception is that they're uneducated. Now this could not be further from the truth. Just talking to locals in the multiple African countries that we have been to so far, it is clear that not even talking about schooling, but just regular things, they know more about the world as a whole. Americans don't really have an idea of what's going on outside of America a lot of times. So when you ask them about this country or that country or what they think about what's going on with this and with that in the news, they don't have any idea a lot of times. And even when I was in school in America, there were multiple kids that I went to school with that came from different countries in Africa. And because of those high expectations of their parents, I don't think there were any of them that were getting less than all A's. Like all of them, strive to meet the standard that's put forth. So they end up being a lot smarter than a lot of American kids.
And even just being around Africa, some of our friends and the people that we talk to, most of these people have degrees. I'm talking about whether it be bachelor's, master's, and they're thriving in their country. Now, the opportunities might not be on the same level as it is in America. So a lot of them go to America, go to the West for more opportunities. And like she kind of touched on a little bit, when they go there, they thrive in those schools. They have some of the highest GPAs. And a lot of times they become these lawyers, doctors, engineers that their parents want for them.
The next misconception is that everyone's poor. Now that is so crazy as well, because you have to realize that in America, they only put forth the things about Africa as a whole that they want you to see. A lot of times you don't even know what country they're showing you. They're just like, these little African kids need something, and they don't even really tell you. But it's always like a donation type thing when they show it, like, oh, they need food, so donate, which makes it up in everyone's mind that everyone is poor because that's all they ever show. And then they show people living in villages and things like that, and people say, oh, well, they don't live in this big house, so they must be poor. But in reality, it's a different culture. It doesn't necessarily that you mean that you're lacking anything because you live in a village where you live in a hut, but that's how they live there. That doesn't mean you don't have food. That doesn't mean you don't have water. It's just, people assume based upon the small amount of things that they're shown.
And self-sustainability to me is real wealth, because that's the thing that's going to matter when you don't have access to all the conveniences that you might have in the West, right? Also, another thing is what a lot of Americans don't show is the wealth of Africa. Like we're in South Africa right now, and we see $1 million properties, Rolls Royces. She was just saying today, we just nothing but Mercedes everywhere.
Everybody drives a Benz, apparently. We keep saying every time we're out in a car, there's like a million of them.
Right, and we have house tours in Tanzania where you see mansions, and I mean, it's insane to think that a whole continent is poor and there's nobody thriving and there's no successful people. There's people with business minds. Some of the richest people in the world are Africans. I'm talking about with billions of dollars, guys. So this misconception has ran deep, and it's something that we need to change and not generalize all of these people and think everybody's poor.
We have to be more realistic and understand that there's rich people and poor people everywhere. It just looks differently depending on where you are. Like in a more Western country like America, people are going to use credit. So everyone's going to look like they have more because you can get more without actually having anything. But if you were in, say, Tanzania, you have to pay for those things. So the people that look rich are rich. The next thing is that Africa is a country. Not so much that people think it's a country, but they treat it like it's a country. Like they say, oh, in Africa this, or oh, in Africa that, as if it's all one thing. And there are 54 countries, and they are all very, very different. There's a ridiculous amount of languages. There's different languages in different countries. There's different languages within different tribes. They have different foods that they eat. Their style, their traditions. There are so many differences in every African country that it's kind of ridiculous, but it's the lack of knowledge put forth. They don't really give you anything in the West for whatever reason. They're like keeping Africa as a whole as this big secret so that you really don't know, but it causes people to be very, very ignorant. The next misconception is that Africans hate African Americans. Now, I think this is something that's perpetuated on purpose to make us not want to come here, because obviously the people who stole us didn't do it with good intentions, and they're not just trying to send us back happily or anything like that. So obviously they're going to put forward what they want to put forward to make us think and believe what they want us to think and believe.
And some of the things that they say was like, oh, why would you go back to the place where they sold you from? But we're literally living in a place where they enslaved us for 400 years.
Right.
So that don't make sense.
That is some pot kettle type situation.
It's crazy.
Right.
And then just the love that we've been shown since we've been on the continent, it's incredible, guys. Like, there are obviously going to be some people that don't like you or don't like what they think Americans are, but as a whole, we have nothing but love and support from the countries that we've been to. Some of the most friendliest people, the most down-to-earth people we've met here on the continent too. So don't think a whole group of people hate you just from what you see or what the media portrays.
The next misconception is that all Africans are dangerous. Now, like we said, everyone's highly influenced by the media and television, and when people see movies like Hotel Rwanda or Blood Diamond, which are things that are based off of true events, they feel like, oh my gosh, this place is so scary, these things are gonna happen. But in reality, there have been atrocities that have happened all over the world. Like America itself, they went in and killed all the indigenous people and then stole our ancestors and brought them over. Like, nobody is on this fresh slate of being peaceful and wonderful. It's just ridiculous.
Now, if you want to be completely honest, Africa, certain the countries that we've been to on the continent, were all safer than America. We felt way more like we were in danger in America. We literally had to have weapons on us and go around and have our eye on a swivel, like constantly, because you don't know if it's going to be a mass shooting or somebody's going to pull out a gun, and you know, it's just crazy stuff, guys.
Right. The next misconception is that Africans are corrupt. Now, when it really comes down to it, there's corruption everywhere. If y'all have been watching our videos, you know that we've been in different countries where they expect you to give some money for this. You know, the police pull you over really for no other reason than for you to just hand them some money and then they let you go. You know, that's a real thing, but there's corruption in other countries as well. In the West, it's just different. It seems to be a little just more open. I feel like they hide it more in the West.
But we had a story where we was in Kenya and I dropped a lot of money out of my pocket.
Yes.
And the lady literally like came chase me down almost, and I have it in a video, and gave me my money back, you know?
Right.
And you know, I ended up giving her the money because I feel like that was just something that was beautiful to see.
Right. If you drop a 20 in America, they gonna act like they was there to put their foot on it, so when you turn around, you don't see it.
And that was just a real genuine person. Also, we've had people that have helped us without expecting anything and just wanted to support us, and you might see that we might be in some trouble and want us to help us out. So to say everybody's corrupt or the whole continent is corrupt, it's crazy.
The next thing is that Africans aren't caught up to the rest of the world. You know, they watch television just like everybody else. They listen to the same songs on the radio as everybody else. You know, they're dressing their jeans and t-shirts and they got J's on. You know, the world has evolved into be a certain way. And yeah, there's going to be people on every continent that, you know, live in a more traditional way. You know, there's Amish people in America. There's people that are in tribes in different places in Africa where they live a more traditional life. But for the most part, if you're in any big city, all the people are going to dress pretty much the same. They're going to have all the same electronics. Everybody's walking around with an iPhone or a Samsung or something like that. It's really the same as anywhere else. And the last thing is that Africans smell. Now, that's highly offensive. And I think that, you know, coming from the West, we see that it's like forced upon you to hide your natural scent. Like, people expect other people to smell like nothing or to smell like perfume, which is not a real thing. Everybody has body odor. Everybody smells like, you know, something. Like when I have my baby, she can find me in the dark anywhere because she recognizes the scent of her mother. She knows what I smell like. People smell like something. Right. So in America, it's just like they want you to smell like flowers. They want you to smell like deodorant.
Which is unnatural.
It's frowned upon to smell natural. So then you have to cover it up with chemicals, which is really bad for your health.
And honestly, being on the continent, we've been around multiple people, and people just don't stink like that to us. Right. You know what I'm saying? So to say that everybody stinks or smells weird, it's crazy to us.
It's crazy and it's disrespectful. So in conclusion, obviously, it just doesn't make very much sense to generalize people in that way. And honestly, a lot of the misconceptions come from the fact that each country does things its own way, and then they use their standards to judge everyone. And that's not how things work. So we just all have to be a little more open-minded.
Yep, and with that being said, family, we just want to say thank you for watching this video all the way through, and we love you. And as always, shalom.
Shalom.